Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Final Take. I am Marty Kauffman, and joining me tonight are Nathan Hansen and Ben Zitouni. Guys, how was your weekend?
Pretty good. A lot of homework, though, that had to get done.
Yeah, a lot of homework, long paper, but I was able to make some time to watch some football.
That's always important, watching football on Sundays. Are you guys ready to debate some sports tonight?
Always.
Yeah.
Okay, well, tonight we cover the latest in Pointer athletics, along with college football, NASCAR's chase for the Sprint Cup, our buy or sell segment, and Week 3 in the NFL. We begin tonight with the Pointers football team. The Pointers football team picked up its first road win of the season in their 77-6 trouncing of Finlandia University. This past weekend, 3 different Pointers threw for passing touchdowns and were led by starter Kyle Larson's 154 yards through the air. The Pointers were even more effective with the ground game as they had 355 yards. Christian Almonte led the ground attack with 97 yards and a touchdown. Freshman Darren Ward added 94 yards and a touchdown of his own. The Pointers offense outgained Finlandia in yardage, 595 to 192. Does this offensive explosion, guys, by the Pointers surprise you?
Not against a team like Finlandia. I mean, coming in the game, Kyle Larson's status was kind of uncertain, but he powered through. He played well. They took him out, which is nice. He didn't have to play the whole game. Wasn't any high-pressure situations. It was good for him to kind of come back and ease in.
No, not at all. I mean, the guys on last week's show were talking about how Finlandia is a first-year program, and to put it nicely, they've struggled the first couple of games. And the key to the Pointers offense is Kyle Larson staying healthy, and he was able to be healthy enough to play, and he put up big numbers like we expect.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, too, is remember that this is a first-year program Stevens Point played, not to mention, so it was almost like a tune-up game for these guys. They had 3 different quarterbacks, 3 different running backs, all running the ball. It was almost like, let's get everyone in there. I don't think we're surprised with this past week. It's not really a telling sign for the offense to continue. I think it's just it was an expectation for them to roll in.
The Pointers did what we expected them to do.
I think it was a good look into the future, though. I mean, you said you saw those 3 quarterbacks play, and one of those quarterbacks playing wasn't even Cody Nuremberg. He didn't even throw a pass in that game. And freshman running back Darren Ward had a big game. So that creates almost 4 guys they can use in the backfield, so that's nice to see.
Well, along with the offense, the defense has finally played well like Coach Ernell's wanted them to play all year. They only allowed a touchdown against Finlandia, and Finlandia then only gained 7 yards. Is this the type of defensive play that we'll see the rest of the way?
I think it's a step in the right direction. I mean, they're not going to shut out teams or play as well as they did the rest of the year. The WEAC conference is very strong, and they haven't played any of those guys yet. So this is definitely a step. It's nice to see them finally stop a lackluster opponent.
No, I don't think so. I mean, the WEAC's probably one of the best conferences in D3 football, and you're talking about teams like Oshkosh and Whitewater with high-powered offenses. I think it was good for the defense to be able to play successfully and build off of this to gain some confidence, but it's going to be a tough stretch for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with both of your statements. It is a step in the right direction, but against a team like Finlandia, it doesn't really show how much improvement there was because the first 2 weeks have been pretty awful for the Stevens Point defense. And so one blemish in this game for the Pointers was 9 penalties for over 100 yards. Does this stat concern you guys with this team moving forward?
Absolutely. 9 penalties against a good team is not going to get you anywhere. That's something they need to shore up They need to shore that up quickly.
Yeah, it does, because when you have that many penalties for that much yardage, it shows a lack of discipline on some players' parts, and I'm sure Coach Journell's like all the other coaches. He doesn't like mistakes. He doesn't like sloppiness, and those penalties showed that.
Yeah, 9 penalties against any opponent's a bad thing, but they're lucky that it was against Finlandia. Speaking of moving forward, the Pointers' next game is against UW-Eau Claire. This is homecoming for the Pointers as well as the Hall of Fame game. How do you think this will go this weekend?
Well, Eau Claire's not been looking so good themselves either. They've given up an average of 297 yards on the ground, and that plays to the Pointers' strength. They like to run the ball. If they can run the ball successfully in the game, they usually end up with a W, and I think that's what we'll see again.
I think it's going to be a pretty substantial blowout. The Blue Golds have given up a combined 159 points through their first 3 games, so they're struggling on defense, and the Pointers are clicking on offense, so that points to a big win for the Pointers.
Yeah, I think it'll be similar to last year. Eau Claire came to Stevens Point as well, and Stevens Point pretty much moved the ball pretty well on him. I think that'll happen again, especially if Larson's fully healthy and playing the entire game. Well, the game starts at 2 o'clock on Saturday. Now moving on to Pointers Volleyball, the Pointers headed down to Illinois and participated in the Elmhurst College Invitational. Things didn't go quite as well as planned for UWSP as they were swept by Wheaton, who was just 4-10 on the season. The Pointers then rebounded on Saturday, however, when they took on Elmhurst again. The Pointers took 3 out of 4 sets against Elmhurst to advance the record of 15-3. Kelly Cephalou led the way with 31 kills over the course of those 2 games. Guys, the Pointers didn't look like the team we've been accustomed to seeing this year when they played Wheaton. Do you think that it was a case where they were just playing a bad game?
I think that is the case. They had to go down to Illinois, a weekend game. It's a long bus ride down there. They get down there. They're probably not expecting a whole lot out of Wheaton or Elmhurst.
They lost to Wheaton. They beat Elmhurst for a second time this year.
Yeah, so that was nice to see them come back on Saturday again, like they did in that last tournament in Kenosha when they lost on Friday, came back on Saturday. It was nice to see that again, and that's why I think it was kind of just a fluke game against the opponent on Friday.
Yeah, I agree with Nate. It was just a fluke game. I mean, every team has it. It's just a good thing that it happened now before they get into the conference stretch of their games.
Yeah, I mean, first time they've been swept all year, especially to a team with a losing record.
Yeah.
It does come as a shock, but they've rebounded quite well after some losses, especially after 2 weekends ago where they suffered 2 losses straight. But the Pointers then head to Whitewater next to take on the Warhawks at 7 p.m. on Wednesday. Switching gears a little bit, the Pointers women's soccer team has been struggling a lot this season. Their latest loss came against Whitewater, putting them at 6 losses in a row. Their record currently sits at 2-9. Although almost all their games have been competitive and close in the end, how do you guys think their season ends up moving forward?
This team is not very good right now. That happened last year too. They lost a few in a row. They're kind of in a I don't know what to call it. It's hard to describe because this team that has potential, they're a fairly young team, and their new coach coming in this year has a great background in soccer. She's played at North Carolina. She's worked with U.S. Olympic athletes that have played on the women's soccer team. So I think if anyone's going to lead them in the right direction, they have the coach for that, but I don't know if that'll happen.
I think, like Nate said, they're not very good, but it is a rebuilding year, and they made a step in the right direction with getting a good coach that knows how to get results, and I think that there's going to be a lot of players that want to come and play for her. I mean, she played with Mia Hamm. She played at North Carolina, which always has one of the best women's soccer teams in D1.
Yeah, I mean, there's a draw to Coach Crow here. She's a first year. She's had a lot of background in soccer, especially internationally playing. But like you guys said, it is a rebuilding process. It's going to take some time. I mean, they're going to have these bumps in the road. It's going to take a while to get back on that winning pace, but they're in the right direction. And do you guys think they'll break their losing streak when they face Carroll College this week?
It's a non-conference team, so I'm going to have to say no. They've really struggled against non-conference teams so far this year.
I'm going to have to agree with Nate and say no, but it'll be another close game.
Okay, we will take a quick commercial break, but when we return, we discuss Wisconsin Badger football and the NASCAR chase for the Sprint Cup.
Be a part of something super Greek at UWSP. There are 9 chapters and colonies on campus: Phi Sigma Phi, Gamma Phi Delta, Theta Xi, Sigma Delta Rho, Sigma Tau Gamma, Delta Phi Epsilon, Tau Kappa Epsilon, Phi Mu Alpha Sinfonia, and Phi Omega. Greek life at UWSP is a great way to build your personal support system and resume. With Greek life at UWSP, you won't just be a member, but a happy friend to the chapters and colonies for life. See what opportunities Greek life could offer you.
Great opportunity to promote leadership, a great way to get connections, and also to build bonds between different Greeks.
You get the opportunity to grow yourself as a leader and as a person, both through your organization and connections through Inter-Greek Council and other avenues like that.
Greek life isn't what you see in the movies. I recommend checking out one of the recruitment events for the organizations and just seeing maybe you belong there.
Welcome back. The Wisconsin Badgers rolled over another non-power conference school in Hawaii over the past weekend. The Badgers beat the Rainbow Warriors 28-0 behind Joel Stabe's 164 yards and 1 touchdown. Freshman running back Taiwan Deal saw the bulk of the carries for the Badgers and ended up with 148 yards and 2 touchdowns to his name. The Badgers defense stood tough and forced another shutout. Unfortunately, the Badgers received some bad news as they learned starting running back Corey Clement will be out another 4 to 6 weeks with his injury. Guys, how much does this injury really hurt the team?
This injury really hurts now that they're going to conference play. I think in the non-conference play, we saw them roll over all those teams. And freshman running back Taiwan Deal stepped up big, and Dare back there really played a big role. So I think they're really going to miss Corey Clement once they get into tougher defenses like the conference play.
I agree with Nate. The Big Ten, usually the teams have pretty good defenses that the Badgers face, and Corey Clement was a star running back coming into this year, finally being able to emerge outside Melvin Gordon's shadow. So it's going to hurt, but I think the Badgers are going to find a way around it.
And I have to agree with Ben a little bit. I think the injury is big. He is their best offensive player, but the way Joel Stabe is playing in Paul Chryst' offense right now is nothing short of surprising. He looks very comfortable, and he's throwing the ball well. He's confident in his throws. He's making his throws, and this team seems to be really playing well right now with Joel Stabe at quarterback.
Yeah, I don't think it'll really hurt their game plan or anything like that. I think they'll approach every game as the same as if they would if they had Corey Clement. I think it'll just hurt once they get down to tougher defenses in front and tough front sevens.
Yeah, I agree with Nate, but somehow the Badgers, they always find these running backs. They found James White, they found Monty Ball, they found Melvin Gordon, they found Corey Clement, and then they found Taiwan Deal, true freshman who stepped in. But they always find a way to find a running back that works well and succeeds in their offense.
And I think, too, you got a nice complementary piece in Darwe Ungabawale next to Taiwan Deal. Is more of a scat back. He can do a little bit more stuff as well. He's quick.
Yeah, it's a little change of pace.
Guys, will this team be able to keep up these dominant performances against conference opponents?
They're not going to dominate any conference opponents, not this team, but they'll definitely be competitive in all of them. I see them losing against Northwestern. I think they have a few tough opponents, but I don't think any that they'll be blown out by or any that they'll blow out.
Yeah, I agree with Nate. Northwestern's 4-0, and then they play Iowa this weekend, who's also 4-0. And then Illinois is a surprising 3-1. But I think there'll be close games, but I would expect the Badgers to win almost all of them.
They do benefit from playing in the Western Division of this conference. It doesn't have Ohio State and Michigan State in it, so they are the favorites usually to win it. But I don't think they can win all these games, but you never know which team is going to show up that day. I mean, the Big Ten's a very weird conference like that where the Badgers can roll over one team and then the next week they'll fall to Northwestern like it happened last season, I know that. But the Badgers play their first conference opponent this weekend against Iowa at home. Any predictions for that game?
If that game wasn't at home at Camp Randall, I don't think they win. But the fact that it is at Camp Randall, I think that's just the edge that'll put them over the top.
Yeah, I agree with Nate. The Badgers are always good at home in Camp Randall. Iowa has a tough rush defense, so I guess Joel Stabe's going to have to step it up a notch and have a big game this weekend.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree, especially with Corey Clement out. I think at home is a big deal for the Badgers, and that game will be at 11 a.m. this Saturday. Now for the Motorsports Minute, Joe Gibbs Racing continued its dominance this season as Matt Kenseth picked up his 5th win of the season at New Hampshire, advancing to the next round. Kevin Harvick gambled on fuel but ran out a few laps short and lost more valuable points. With only one race to go, guys, before the next round, which top names failed to make the cut?
I think it's got to be Kevin Harvick. I mean, Bryce talked about last week. He needed to win 2 races to make it. Well, he had his chance this week and he blew it, so I don't think he'll make it.
I'm going to have to agree with Nate and go with Kevin Harvick. I mean, it's always good to take gambles. It's sometimes good to take risks, but when you're in like the playoffs, you're in the race for the cup, you can't really afford to make costly mistakes like running out of fuel.
Well, I'm going to make it 3 strikes on Kevin Harvick, and he's out of the chase. The chase continues this Sunday at Dover. And we will be right back, but when we return, we will talk about Week 3 in the NFL and buy or sell.
My name is Jackie Lang. I graduated from UW Stevens Point in 2013. I started off coming to general members meetings, showing up for the shows. From the first show that I was a part of, I just absolutely loved it. Now that I've graduated, I currently work at WFRV TV, which is Channel 5, the CBS affiliate in Green Bay. I also freelance for Lashbro Visual Communications. All of my experience, all of my knowledge came from SPTV, and I will forever be grateful to this organization for that.
Hey you! Are you creative? Do you like television? Would you like to make a show that appears on air? Then SPTV is the place for you. At SPTV, you can appear on air, learn how to shoot and edit video, write and produce your own show, and most importantly, gain skills and experiences that will last a lifetime. Want to join us at SPTV? Come check us out in the Communication Arts Center, rooms 121 and 130. We'd love to meet you. SPTV. Let's make media together.
Welcome back. It is now time for Buy or Sell. Our first topic, the Pointers football team gets their first conference win on Saturday against Eau Claire.
I'm buying that. I'm all in. I'm all in on this Pointers team. They look good this past weekend, and Eau Claire is not a very stout defense.
I'm gonna agree with Nate. All in. It's gonna be a blowout. Pointers are gonna put up big numbers this weekend.
So we got two buys for them winning. I'm going to sell just because I think their defense right now, I can see them giving up some yardage, and 9 penalties last week against a very inferior opponent does not look good. Next topic, the Arizona Cardinals are the NFC West favorites.
I think they might even be the NFC favorites, to be honest. I like the Cardinals. They're looking good down there. They're the best team in the conference. Carson Palmer, 16-2 in his last 18 starts.
I don't see why the Cardinals wouldn't be. I mean, Seattle struggled the first couple games. They got Cam Chancellor back, and all he did was put up a single tackle. Carson Palmer's playing well, and then that Arizona defense with Patrick Peterson and Tyrone Matthew proving a deadly combo.
Yeah, they forced 4 interceptions, Colin Kaepernick, in this past weekend. They took 2 of them back to the house in the first 6 minutes.
I'm going to sell that. They've played New Orleans, Chicago, San Francisco.
Seattle has not played anyone good that they should have lost to.
Seattle went to Green Bay and almost won too. You got to give them that. I think Seattle is still the favorite in that division. They're going to get healthy at some point, I think.
Marshawn Lynch is injured now.
Marshawn Lynch, but that defense. The thing with the Cardinals, I think, though, is Carson Palmer has to stay healthy.
I think he will.
And he has a history of injuries.
Yeah.
So I think I'm not buying into the Cardinals' hype just yet, and I don't see him as an NFC favorite either right now. Just because you got 4 picks on Colin Kaepernick, who has struggled the last couple seasons, but I don't think the Arizona team right now is the favorite in the NFC West despite a 3-0 record, especially with Seattle now. They're going to play Detroit. They'll probably go 2-2. They'll be rising up, trending upward, I think. Moving on, one of the NL Central teams makes it to the World Series.
You know, I think now that we see 3 of them this year in the Cubs, Pirates, and Cardinals, I think one of them is going to make it. I mean, whether it be the Cardinals or not, but I think it'll be the Cardinals. I think they have the best chance. They somehow always manage to be in that position. They always make it to World Series. Yeah, their team's not even that good this year, I don't think. I don't think they're good enough to be there, but they just find a way to be there, and I think they will again.
I'm gonna agree with Nate too. Somehow they always find ways to make it deep into the playoffs. I believe their star pitcher Carlos Martinez is done for the season, and then yesterday Yadier Molina is done for the season too with a serious thumb injury. So
they do have Wainwright coming back.
They do, but somehow they always find a way to scrap their way up to the World Series, and I hate seeing that as a Brewers fan.
Well, it's going to be deja vu because I'm selling that again as well. The Cardinals are all hurt. They're hurt. Yes, they do have this history of just rolling through the playoffs and getting all this luck. I think they have too many injuries to overcome right now. I think the Pirates lose to the Cubs in the wild card. I think the Cubs then, the curse of the GOAT strikes again. They lose somehow in the playoffs. I think the Mets are the scary team right now in the National League. So I think the Mets are my bold prediction to go to the World Series.
That's a bold one.
To wrap this up, Alabama will not make the college football playoff.
I got to sell that. I mean, there's not a whole lot of other top teams besides Alabama. I mean, Ole Miss, who beat them, I think they're going to be in. And who else are you looking at? I really don't know who else you're looking at. I mean, Oregon, who was in there last year, who's usually been in there, they're not even in the top 25 anymore. And Florida State, this year with Golson, they're not looking so hot. I don't think they're going to make it either. So I don't know who else you would put in there besides Alabama.
I hate doing this, but I'm gonna sell that too and say that Alabama makes it, even though they haven't been that impressive so far in the season. There's just not a lot of good teams out there this year at the top of the rankings. I mean, even Ohio State struggled too.
I'm gonna buy this. I don't think they're not looking good offensively right now. You can't just win games strictly on defense, especially in the SEC West. There are so many high-powered offenses in this conference, especially in that division. I see Alabama, if they lose one more game, they're done. Their chances are done. no matter what.
Who do you have in there instead of Alabama?
Who knows? That SEC West is the Wild West in college football. You never know which team's going to do something. So now for a rapid fire around the NFL, where we briefly recap each NFL game this weekend. Last night, the Green Bay Packers defeated the Kansas City Chiefs 38-28. Aaron Rodgers, 5 touchdown passes. Guys, thoughts on the game?
Aaron Rodgers might be the greatest quarterback ever. We've seen everything from him last night. They talked about it so many times, John Gruden did, about his feet constantly moving or his quick release. It's just,
don't forget accuracy.
And his accuracy.
That was mentioned a little bit.
His top 3. You can't beat this guy. I mean, Randall Cobb, they threw everything to him when they needed to on third downs and goal line situations. They even threw Ty Montgomery in there. Devontae Adams didn't even play last night.
Played like a play.
And Eddie Lacy got hurt. He played decent. He had like 48 yards receiving and 40 yards and running, so he was doing a little bit. And James Starks filled in the role nicely. Even Alonzo Harris had a decent run. And that defense, the defense is something I'm excited about. They finally played well. They finally know how to gang tackle. They're not missing too many tackles. They're in the right positions most of the time. Besides the fourth quarter where they're just kind of wasting time, I mean, the Chiefs kind of crawled back into it, but we all knew the game was over. So I think that's almost irrelevant, but their defense finally played well, and I think it'll propel them a lot farther.
Nothing Aaron Rodgers does surprises me. Any of the throws where he runs, he can scramble up in the pocket, move outside, and then wind up throwing like a 50-yard strike to Randall Cobb down the field. I think he's on his way to another MVP this year. It was nice seeing Randall Cobb come back after he got that big deal in the offseason, and then Ty Montgomery, a rookie, getting his first NFL touchdown, and then the defense. That defensive line stepped up. I mean, they're still without LaTroy Guion. Mike Daniels had another solid game last night. It's a contract year for him, so he's got to perform. And then the secondary, too. Demarius Randall with a nice hit where he laid the running back out. I mean, yeah, they crawled back. The Chiefs crawled back late in the game, but something about this defense, something about it this year. I just think the Packers are going to the Super Bowl.
I think you saw that too. The defense, 7 sacks last night. B.J. Raji's playing. He's playing for a contract. He's on a 1-year deal right now. He is probably the reason why this defense is succeeding so well right now. Clay Matthews on the inside making plays. And you mentioned Demarius Randall. I think if you noticed last night, he played more outside than Casey Hayward did. And Casey Hayward played in the slot. And I think you saw more comfortability with Casey Hayward in the slot. And Demarius Randall making some plays last night on the outside, which I think you're going to see more and more of him on the outside. And you guys even mentioned his name, James Jones.
Yeah, power of the turtleneck.
Possibly, I saw an article this morning. Is he an NFL Comeback Player of the Year kind of award guy? He was not hurt, just cut twice, and he's doing what he's doing right now, catching everything.
Yeah, the thing that surprised me with James Jones was just he got over 100 yards, which usually we don't see from him. Usually we see a couple touchdowns and about 50 yards, so I think it was big that he got over 100 yards.
I mean, you think about it, James Jones last year with Aaron Rodgers, I believe he had 14 touchdowns, and then you saw how he struggled with a young quarterback like Derek Carr, and then the Packers bring him back right after training camp, and he slides right back in like he never left.
I mean, it's almost sad to say, but he pretty much has replaced Jordy Nelson right now, which I don't think anybody thought would happen in August. But moving on now, on Thursday, the Giants defeated division rival Washington 32-21 and didn't let a fourth quarter lead slip away this time.
Washington looks horrible. I blame Jay Gruden for that completely. Kirk Cousins, we've seen it so many times, he does not have the ability to win a lot of NFL games, and you saw it on Thursday.
I mean, yeah, they've struggled all season with that RG3 fiasco, and then Kirk Cousins, whenever he makes a mistake, he gets so down on himself. He's slamming his helmet on the ground, and sometimes you just have to forget about the mistakes and move on to the next drive.
Do you guys think it's time for RG3 to start again for the Redskins?
I thought he should have been starter coming into the year. I think it should be his time, although if he comes in now and he's going to be put into a bad situation like they have, he probably won't succeed very well, and then all the blame will be back on him. So I think it's kind of a lose-lose situation for him.
I don't know what else the Redskins are going to do. I mean, it's a lost season for them anyway. Nobody expected them, or they aren't expected to do anything big, so I guess why not kind of turn this into a little bit of a rebuilding year for them.
The Bengals beat the Ravens 28-24 behind a huge day from A.J. Green and Andy Dalton.
Well, that was a heck of a fourth quarter, or half of 7 minutes in the fourth quarter was the crazy part of that game. I mean, A.J. Green, 80-yard touchdown. You know it's going to go to him. They've been Dalton threw to him all game, and the Ravens still couldn't stop him. I think the Ravens might be in trouble.
Yeah, A.J. Green, somehow he always comes up with big plays against the Bengals, or against the Ravens in the fourth quarter, and you saw how much that Ravens defense struggles without their leader, Terrell Suggs.
Do you think the Ravens are done postseason out of reach?
I think so. They're in a really tough division, too.
I don't know. With the loss of the Steelers losing Ben Roethlisberger, that moves the Bengals and the Ravens back up to the top of the division. So, I don't know. Not quite yet.
Panthers snuck out a win against the Drew Brees-less Saints 27-22.
Well, we saw the Saints play better with Luke McCown, actually. They played decent for the most part of the game, and then Cam took over against the Saints D. That's not very good.
Yeah, the Saints D isn't very good, and it was nice to see Greg Olsen kind of put up big numbers and have a good game.
Not for my fantasy team, it didn't.
Carolina's 3-0 right now. They play Tampa Bay next. Are they for real, or are they just benefits of a lucky first part of the schedule?
They are a fluke. They have played probably the easiest schedule so far in the NFL.
They're lucky. Apart from the Falcons, that division's terrible. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Panthers lose 3 in a row, to be honest with you.
The Texans got their first win of the year against Jameis Winston's Buccaneers 19-9.
Well, it's the Buccaneers. What can you say? They won against the Saints, but that's about it. There's not a whole lot of excitement with that team.
Yeah, the really only thing the Texans have going for them is J.J. Watt. Their offense isn't very good. They need a quarterback.
The Texans got lucky. The Tampa Bay kicker missed a couple kicks in the second half. The Patriots demolished the Jaguars 51-17 as Tom Brady threw his 400th career touchdown pass.
Well, Tom Brady was Tom Brady, and Gronk was Gronk, and the Jaguars were the Jaguars. That's how I sum up that game.
I think everybody expected a Patriots win in this game, but for them to win as much as they did, and I think that was a little bit of a surprise. And I mean, Tom Brady keeps setting records and breaking records.
Does this team have what it takes, even though with a sketchy kind of defense, they lost some guys this year? Do they have a chance to go all the way again, especially in a tough division?
I think so. They're another one of those teams that are just completely hard to bet against, and you never know. They always overcome injuries.
The Eagles defeated the Jets 24-17 to earn their first win of the season.
Eagles are not legit. Sam Bradford, 50% completions, not very good.
I mean, yeah, the Eagles aren't very good. Sam Bradford, I don't know what Chip Kelly was thinking, getting Sam Bradford and for Nick Foles. Sam Bradford isn't a very good quarterback, to say the least.
Well, DeMarco Murray was not in this game either, so I don't know how much Ryan Matthews will get more of the carry going forward. The Cardinals took care of the 49ers 47-7 by forcing 4 Colin Kaepernick interceptions.
4 Colin Kaepernick interceptions was the end of the game. I mean, they had no chance after he threw 2 pick sixes in the first 6 minutes.
I think you kind of expected this going in. The 49ers are another one of those teams that's kind of in a rebuilding mode. I mean, Carson Palmer put up more big numbers, and then the Cardinals defense showed up just like they have in the past.
I think the question now for Packer fans is Colin Kaepernick of old against the Packers going to show up, or is the one we saw on Sunday going to be there? The Seahawks shut out the Bears 26-0, Cam Chancellor's return.
Well, the Bears did not look very good behind Jimmy Clausen. Again, didn't have any turnovers, though, which is surprising, but I think Seattle really should have beaten that team a lot more than they did.
Yeah, I agree with Nate. The Bears aren't very good. I wouldn't be surprised to see them have the first pick in the draft come spring. I mean, the Seahawks should have played better. They got back Cam Chancellor, and he barely did anything.
I think it was only a 10-point game at halftime, too.
I think that was a surprise that it wasn't a blowout as many expected. Marshawn Lynch was out. I think if he's out for a little bit, we're going to see how the offense revolves around Russell Wilson now without Marshawn Lynch in the backfield. The Raiders defeated the Browns 27-20.
Derek Carr looks good. They may have found their franchise quarterback in him and Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I think that's going to prove to be a good tandem, young quarterback, young receiver, and they've been on the same page so far this season.
Raiders looking good, but I think it's time for the Browns to maybe go back to Johnny Manziel. Josh McCown is not their answer for the future.
Absolutely.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have for today. We thank everyone for tuning in with us today. I'd like to thank Nathan Hansen and Ben Zitouni for joining me today with their insightful opinions on the debate desk. And a big thanks to our technical staff and all their hard work to make sure this is possible. Be sure to check us out on Facebook at SPTV, UWSP Television, or follow us on Twitter at SPTV_UWSP. Also visit the UWSP homepage to locate all your Pointer Athletics information. And just remember, fellow Pointers, anything sports.